In this session, let us see rotor circuit analysis, the heart of induction. Okay, if you see previous like old gate questions or old IES questions, or if you think of upcoming gate 2021 questions from induction machine, at least 70% probability will be there that questions or problems can come from this area only. Okay, kind of speed control, yes, this area only, and kind of braking, yes, this area only, and normal questions also from this area only. Okay, because rotor circuit analysis is the heart of induction. Okay, anyway, if you think of rotor circuit equivalent, okay, rotor circuit equivalent is going to be like this. Okay, here rotor induced voltage ER will be there, and here rotor reactance XR, and here rotor resistance R2. Okay, and in our previous session we mentioned that rotor frequency is going to be S times slip times stator frequency is nothing but rotor frequency. So the moment frequency is reduced by slip times, automatically this is going to be S into X2. X2 is the standstill condition rotor reactance. And if you think of here, rotor induced voltage will be decided by the relative velocity between stator MMF and rotor. Okay, so this is going to be slip times rotor steady state induced voltage. Okay, and here current is going to be I2. Okay, now whatever may be the current is coming here, equivalently we can transform this circuit because of some reasons. Those reasons are not required as of now. Okay, this is going to be the rotor circuit model. Okay, actually many times many students feel that induction machine, so many topics are there. No, if you learn this particular topic, speed control, braking and all, just like that you will be able to solve. Okay, now equivalently we can transform this into, this is divided by S. If I do that, impedance is going to be divided by S and induced voltage is going to be divided by S, such that same magnitude of current has to be there. Okay, so same magnitude of current should be there. Rotor current. Okay, everything is referred to stator side. Okay, means from transformer's point of view, if you see, I'm supposed to write R2 dash, XR dash or SX2 dash, something like that. Okay, anyway, dash and all, reflections and all, from rotor side to stator side how to reflect, or from secondary side to primary side how to reflect. In transformer only we know. Okay, so automatically they are going to give reflected values only without using dash dash dash, something like that. I'm considering that's it. Okay, and here divided by S will give you X2, and here divided by S will give you R2 by S, here divided by S will give you E2. Okay, in which case actually from this case to this case frequency independence will come and all. That's a kind of analysis which are not required as of now. Okay, same current is going to be there in both the cases. Okay, let me write equation for I2 is going to be E2 divided by R2 by S square plus X2 square, and the root is going to be rotor current. Okay, or rotor current reflected to stator side, whatever it may be. Okay, and means once slip is there, in our previous session also I clearly mentioned. Okay, in induction machine, slip is the only independent variable which will be decided by the loading conditions. Okay, depending upon the load connected, slip is going to vary. So the moment slip is going to vary, because slip is the only independent variable and all already I said. Okay, so slip is going to be independent variable. Depending upon the load, it's going to change. Now, this is going to be the rotor circuit. Okay, now if you think of rotor power input to the rotor circuit, which is called as air gap power, PG. Okay, so this is called as air gap power. From air gap, how much power is being taken by the rotor? Okay, we know that reactance will not absorb any active power. Power in the sense, what I mean to say is active power. And one more thing is active power only will be transformed into torque, speed. Okay, because one thing I may have to share here. If you think of synchronous machine, okay, synchronous machine may absorb reactive power, may deliver reactive power. Okay, for example, if you think of synchronous motor. Okay, synchronous motor may absorb reactive power, may deliver reactive power. For example, many students this kind of confusion will be there. Okay, so they feel that, for example, synchronous motor is there. Okay, synchronous motor is absorbing active power. Why it absorb active power? In order to deliver active power in the name of mechanical. Okay, synchronous motor will take active electrical power, will deliver active mechanical power at the shaft. But if you think of reactive power is not a power. Okay, so synchronous motor may absorb reactive power, it will not be delivered into shaft because it is reactive power. Reactive power is not a power. Reactive power is not a power. Okay, means reactive power compensation and all, it's a matter of power systems, forget about it. Okay, so always when we say power, shaft power, okay, so the moment it's a shaft power is nothing but active power only. Reactive power will not come to the shaft. Okay, anyway, if I think of active power absorbed by the rotor circuit, or which is called as air gap power, okay, that air gap power actually from stator side is delivering that much active power to the air gap, and from the air gap my rotor is going to take that power. Okay, now at starting you may feel all these things we know and all. Okay, but logic here is extension. Okay, so connecting the dots, most of the guys may not know, that is called as revision, right? Now Pg is going to be, how much is Pg? I2 square R2 by S, because this is the resistive term. Okay, resistive term only will absorb active power. Okay, if I think of number of phases, if I think of 3-phase induction motor multiplied by 3, because everything is going to be per phase value. Okay, let me think of M is nothing but number of phases. For 3 phase you are supposed to keep 3. Okay, now one thing here is if I connect with other machines, okay, induction motor always efficiency will be less than 1, including under ideal conditions also. For example, if you think of DC generator motor, okay, ideal conditions efficiency will be how much? 100%. If you think of transformer, ideal conditions efficiency is going to be 100%. Okay, if you think of synchronous machine, ideal conditions efficiency is going to be 100%, but in induction machine, ideal conditions, for example, R2 equal to 0, rotor resistance is 0. When rotor resistance is 0, power absorbed by this is going to be 0. So when air gap power is 0, okay, power to be transmitted to rotor circuit, which is nothing but air gap power, when air gap power is 0, how much will be the output power? Output power will be 0. Okay, so my R2 rotor resistance should be non-zero, then only induction motor will work. The moment R2 should be non-zero, meaning that rotor copper losses in the worst case also it should be there. Okay, so you may neglect core loss, you may neglect copper loss of stator, you may neglect mechanical losses because rotor has to rotate and all, but at any cost you should not neglect rotor copper losses, because rotor side rotor resistance should be there. Anyway, keep this point in mind, that's enough. Now this is going to be M into I2 is going to be how much? This is E2 square by R2 by S square plus X2 square into R2 by S. Okay, now let me transform the same model into again equivalent model. Let me use maybe black again. Okay, if I transform this into again equivalent circuit, okay, I can divide this R2 by S into 2 terms because rotor resistance should be there. Okay, for example, if I divide like this, rotor reactance, rotor resistance, and some other external resistance. External resistance is some extra part. Okay, same E2, same I2, same X2, and here R2. Why? I want to divide rotor copper losses separately and rotor resistance is R2, and this particular value is going to be R2 by S into 1 minus S. Okay, for example, power input to the rotor circuit is PG, air gap power. Out of that power, compulsorily rotor copper losses has to be deducted. Okay, because R2 plus R2 by S into 1 minus S is going to be R2 by S only. Okay, so this R2 by S only we split it into 2 terms, such that rotor copper losses may have to be deducted from the air gap power. So air gap power minus rotor copper losses means what is this? What is this particular resistance? This particular resistance of R2 into 1 minus S by S will not be there in the physical world. But why this came? This is equivalent to the power transformed to the mechanical side. Okay, details forget about it. Now, point here is if I think of rotor copper loss. Rotor copper loss at any cost it will be there in all practical conditions of the induction motor. Okay, rotor copper loss is going to be how much? I2 square R2. Okay, now if I think of air gap power, that is nothing but power input to the rotor circuit minus rotor copper loss, minus rotor copper losses is going to be how much? Is going to be power delivered to mechanical side. Okay, of course, friction losses when to detect. or kind of core losses when to detect, copper loss when to detect. From those point of view, we will discuss in efficiency calculations or power flow calculations later. Okay, but as of now, my concentration is rotor circuit. Okay, now this is going to be power developed. Okay, so air gap power minus this is going to be power developed equivalently, which will be converted into mechanical side. Okay, now out of this power, whatever is there, maybe PD, out of PD, if you deduct mechanical losses, shaft power will come. Okay, about that we will see later. Okay, as of now, this is going to be the thing. Now, what is power from a mechanical point of view? Torque multiplied by speed is going to be power. Okay, or I can say that developed torque, mechanical equivalent developed torque inside the rotor circuit is going to be power developed divided by rotation of the rotor circuit. What is rotation of the rotor circuit? Is going to be omega R. Omega R, enough. Okay, now let me convert this into what is PD here. PD is going to be I2 square. See here, I2 square into R2 into 1 minus S by S. Now if I think of PD, which is going to be I2 square into R2 by S into 1 minus S. Okay, now if you see here, see, means if you think of PG, I2 square R2 by S, I2 square R2 by S is going to be air gap power, and developed power is going to be I2 square R2 by S into 1 minus S, into 1 minus S. So this can be written as PG gross power, which is coming from the air gap power into 1 minus S. Okay, logic you will come to know. As of now, you may feel that okay, it's easy, only you will be able to do it. No, it's not like that. Connections will be there. Okay, if you connect the dots properly, then it will be very easy to solve problems of speed controller, whatever it may be. Okay, so PG into 1 minus S. Now let us think of omega R. Now if I think of slip, what is slip? Is going to be omega S minus omega R by omega R in radians per second, and in RPM, NS minus NR by NS will come. Okay, now with this, omega R is going to be how much, dear? S into omega R minus omega R, omega S will be there. If I send it to the other side, it's going to be omega S into 1 minus S, omega R. Now come back to torque. Okay, developed torque. What is developed torque? PD divided by omega R. Now what is PD? PG into 1 minus S divided by what is omega R? Omega S into 1 minus S. Cancel this. Okay, then this is going to be PG by omega S. Okay, now for further calculations, for example, if you want to calculate maximum torque, okay, means gradually you will get maximum torque will be decided by the machine, starting torque will be decided by the machine, but running torque will be decided by the load. Those things gradually you will get. Okay, now if you think of, means if you want to calculate maximum torque developed, okay, in order to calculate maximum torque developed, we should be able to differentiate this, or we should be able to differentiate this. Okay, now if you think of omega R, is it variable or constant? Is variable, because in induction machine slip is going to be the independent variable. The moment slip varies, automatically omega R is going to vary, and at the same time PD is also variable. Okay, now if you think of same PD by omega R is nothing but PG by omega S. So if you think of this equation, PG by omega S equation, in this particular equation, omega S is constant or not? Yes, 120 F by P. Okay, so that is going to be stator frequency. If you think of stator fed induction motor, whatever may be the frequency you are supplying to stator will decide NS or omega S. Right? So here in this equation, omega S is going to be constant. Okay, now if you want to calculate pull-out torque or maximum torque, okay, pull-out torque or maximum torque or stalling torque, everything is going to be same. Now if I think of calculating the maximum torque, means in order to calculate maximum torque, we should be able to differentiate only PG or TD, or my developed torque is going to be maximum when PG is going to be maximum. It is sufficient condition because omega S is constant. But if you think of this particular equation, TD equal to PD by omega R. Okay, so in this equation, PD by omega R should be maximum, which is difficult actually to calculate, lengthy. So means for developed torque, we are fixing this equation. TD is going to be PG by omega S. Okay, now let me show you one thing such that you will never ever forget. Okay, see here, if I want to calculate torque developed, okay, so air gap power or total power supplied to the rotor circuit is PG. Okay, total power supplied to the rotor circuit is PG, and power developed, mechanical power equivalent developed is PD. Okay, now you can think of PD by omega R. Omega R is nothing but the real speed of the rotor circuit. PD by omega R can be taken, or PG by omega S can be taken. So for all further analysis, okay, we are going to consider PG by omega S only. PG by omega S only, because omega S is constant such that denominator is going to be removed. Okay, because it's going to be constant. Okay, now developed torque is going to be PG by omega S. What is the air gap power? What is the air gap power? See here, what is air gap power? Is nothing but total power supplied to the rotor circuit. How much is the total power supplied to the rotor circuit? Whatever may be the power absorbed by this. What is the power absorbed by this? I2 square R2 by S. Okay, so if I try, basically you are supposed to keep this small circuit in mind such that 70% of the problems asked in induction machine can be easily solved. Okay, so just keep this particular circuit in mind. It's a small circuit only, but okay. Now the thing here is, just a minute, yeah, so this is going to be M number of phases divided by omega S. Okay, now what is per phase? Per phase PG air gap power is going to be I2 square R2 by S. Problem solved. Okay, now if you want to calculate maximum power, okay, so let me draw it again, because as many times as possible try to draw this diagram. Most of the problems automatically can be solved. Okay, now this is X2, this is R2 by S, and this is rotor standstill induced voltage E2, and this is I2. Okay, now what is PG? What is PG? PG is going to be air gap power, is going to be power absorbed by this particular resistance. Okay, when this PG is going to be maximum, at that point automatically developed torque also is going to be maximum, because omega S is constant. Okay, now in order to calculate pull out torque or maximum torque or stalling torque, okay, so let me think of TEM, electromagnetic maximum torque. Okay, TEM or TDM, TE or TD is same. Okay, some textbooks they may write TE, electromagnetic torque, or maybe some textbooks they may write developed torque. Both are same. Okay, now if you think of pull out torque or maximum torque, at maximum torque, PG should be maximum. PG is nothing but the power absorbed by this should be maximum. Maximum power transfer theorem of network theory can be applied. Okay, now at TEM, what is the condition? In order to have maximum power here, so this particular impedance value should be equal to this particular impedance value, or this particular resistance value should be equal to reactance value, so such that R2 by SMT should be equal to X2. Okay, because slip at which maximum torque occurs, because slip is the variable. If you see, rotor reactance is constant value, rotor resistance is constant value, but slip is going to be variable value. Okay, now let us think of, see here, at a TEM, magnitude of this R2 by SMT is going to be X2, or I can rewrite this as a SMT equal to R2 by X2. Fix this. Okay, now let us write the equation for TD is going to be M by omega S into I2 square R2 by S. I2 square R2 by S. What is I2? I2 is nothing but E2 divided by, okay, simple thing. Now let us write this as M by omega S into E2 square divided by R2 by S square plus X2 square into R2 by S. Okay, this is going to be torque equation. Just we are going to remember this. Frankly speaking, we are not going to remember this also. We are going to remember this small thing. Okay, this is normal torque. Now let us calculate pull out torque. Okay, if I try to calculate pull out torque or maximum torque, okay, TEM is going to be how much? M by omega S into E2 square. Okay, so maximum torque in the sense R2 by SMT should be used. Okay, maximum torque in the sense R2 by SMT, in place of slip SMT should be used. Okay, R2 by SMT equal to X2. Okay, R2 by SMT equal to X2. So U2 square divided by maximum torque R2 by SMT, slip at maximum torque occurs, is going to be X2 square, 2X2 square, and R2 by SMT is going to be X2. Okay, such that this is going to be the case. M by omega S into E2 square by 2X2 is going to be pull out torque or maximum torque, and this is going to occur at R2 by SMT equal to X2. Okay, or I can rewrite this as a slip at which maximum torque occurs is going to be R2 by X2. Okay, now if you see magnitude of, keep this particular point in mind. Okay, so magnitude of maximum torque is independent of rotor resistance. Rotor resistance is not there, and slip at which maximum torque occurs will be decided by rotor resistance. Okay, rotor leakage, actually some of our guys told me that even some online test questions some guys formed by varying X2. Okay, it is not practical. At any cost, X2 should not be varied. Okay, just for our operation convenience, maybe rotor resistance can be changed, but rotor reactance can never ever be changed. Okay, anyway, forget about it. Now point here is, one time they asked magnitude of maximum torque is inversely proportional to standstill rotor reactance. Okay, something like that. Anyway, point to be noted here is pull out torque, magnitude of maximum torque is independent of rotor resistance, but slip at which maximum torque occurs will be decided by rotor resistance, will not be decided by rotor reactance. Okay, because the MSQ questions are there, no? We should be ready for MSQ questions also. So X2 we are not supposed to change at any cost because of some reasons, forget about it. Okay, now let us think of, this is the maximum torque. Okay, now let me think of normal running torque. Okay, now TD or TE is going to be M by omega S into E2 square divided by R2 by S square plus X2 square into R2 by S. Okay, just don't watch the video just like that. Take pen and paper. You please write, because this particular equation, if you write as many times as possible, if you write, automatically remaining things will come into hand. Okay, now basically right now we will be able to solve all speed control problems or some kind of problems. Okay, anyway, I'll keep it aside. Okay, such that in future I'm going to take from here only and I'm going to analyze. Okay, now see here, normally in machines, okay, X by R ratios, if you think of X by R ratios of machines will be at least more than 2. Okay, normally in transformer it will be more than 2 X by R ratio, and in induction machine it will be more than 5. Okay, or in synchronous machine it can be more than 10. But anyway, X by R ratio of any machine will be at least more than 2, meaning that X value will be more than resistance. Just keep this point in mind. Okay, now anyway, pull out torque value we got, and slip at which maximum torque occurs we got, and a normal run, because now you are going to get a clarity, okay, about the starting torque, running torque, pull out torque and all. Okay, just stay tuned, because in small things only students are much confused. Okay, anyway, point here is this particular torque, let me divide it into two cases. Okay, means high slip region and a low slip region. Okay, what is slip actually? Slip is nothing but ns minus nr by ns. Okay, the moment slip is less, what does it mean? Ns minus nr should be less, because anyway ns is constant in the denominator. Okay, ns minus nr should be less, meaning that nr should be nearer to synchronous speed, in the sense running conditions. Okay, so once induction motor, okay, there are two conditions will be there. One is just if you start the induction motor. Okay, when you start the induction motor, my rotor speed is going to be almost 0. Okay, or at starting it will be 0. In starting conditions it will be much less. Okay, and once it go to running condition, at running condition ns minus nr value is going to be much less. Okay, so if I think of low slip region, it is going to be running conditions. If you think of high slip region, it is going to be starting conditions. Okay, in low slip region, if you think of, think of only denominator, don't think of numerator. Okay, so if you think of R2 by S, low slip region, slip is less. For example, slip is 10%. Slip is 10%. In the sense, slip is going to be 0.1. 0.1, R2 by 0.1 is going to be 10 times R2. Okay, so in this case, R2 value is going to be more compared to X2 value. So let us neglect X2. Okay, is it practical to neglect and all? It's a different story which will take much time and all. Anyway, for time being, because it's meant for revision. Okay, so in low slip region, the moment slip is less, R2 by S value is going to be more. So R2 by S is going to be more compared to X2. Neglect X2. If you neglect X2, TD is going to be m by omega s into E2 square. R2 by S is going to be more. So we have to keep it divided by R2 by S square into, in the numerator, R2 by S. So R2 by S and R2 by S is going to be cancelled, such that this is going to be m by omega s into E2 square by R2 into S. Okay, stay tuned, because multiple times you do this mistake, or most of the guys. Now, high slip region, if you think of high slip region, my R2 by S, this is the torque equation, right? So in this torque equation, slip is high. Slip is high meaning that it would be really nearer to unity. Okay, NR, starting condition, which will be much less. If you think of at starting only, at starting how much will be the rotor speed is going to be 0. So when rotor speed is 0, Ns minus 0 by Ns is going to be 1. High slip region. Okay, so when slip is nearer to 1, then slip is nearer to 1. Okay, X value is going to be more than R value. The slip is nearer to 1. Under that conditions, X2 values are going to be more compared to R2 by S value. So neglect R2 by S. Then my TD is going to be m by omega s into E2 square by X2 square into R2 by S. Okay, now here one thing we have to decide, that is, they can ask only starting torque, they can ask peak torque, okay, but they cannot ask during starting condition, because during starting conditions it's a transient period. For example, the moment you started on induction motor, okay, at that instant, just about to start, at that instant, how much is the torque developed, anybody can ask. But after that, means it will be accelerated. That rotor speed will be accelerated towards synchronous speed. During that time of acceleration or in the transient period, nobody can ask any question. Okay, so let me directly write starting torque is going to be how much? Starting, how much is going to be the slip? Is going to be 1. So this is going to be E2 square by X2 square into R2. That's it. Okay, we are all set to solve directly the problems of speed control also. Okay, anyway, see here, this is going to be the thing. Okay, in between, how much is the maximum torque? Maximum torque is going to be m by omega s into E2 square by 2x2, and slip at which maximum torque occurs is going to be R2 by X2. Now we should be able to draw the characteristics of this. Okay, do they ask characteristics? No, they don't ask, but we should understand this at least. Okay, now if you see, kind of drawing the characteristics, this is going to be the torque developed by the motor. Okay, torque developed by the motor, and this is going to be the rotor speed, 0 speed, ns speed, rotor speed. Yes, fine. Okay, or from slip point of view, we can say that this is going to be the slip, this is 0 slip, this is unity slip. Okay, now means low slip region in the sense nearer to 0, and high slip region meaning that nearer to 1. In between, pull out torque will be there, or maximum torque that can be developed by the motor will be there. Maximum torque that can be developed by the motor is TEM. Okay, so TEM is going to be the pull out torque. Now, slip at which maximum torque occurs will be decided by R2 by X2. So, slip at which maximum torque occurs, for example, this is slip at which maximum torque occurs, this is SMT. Now, in low slip region, this is low slip region, right? In low slip region, if you don't vary anything, okay, you are not going to vary rotor resistance, you are not going to vary kind of number of phases, you are not going to vary frequency, everything is fixed, okay, without going to speed control and all, everything is going to be constant. So TD directly proportional to slip. Slip is independent variable. Okay, so directly proportional to slip, slip is going from 0 to 1, meaning that it should be a straight line. It should be a straight line. It should be a straight line. Straight line. Now, if you think of starting conditions, okay, if you think of starting conditions, means when everything is constant, m by omega s is constant, e2 by x2 is e2 and x2 are constant, r2 are constant. So, in these conditions, my high slip region torque inversely proportional to slip. Inversely proportional to slip, and starting torque will be there. Starting torque, we cannot say that starting torque will be 0 and all. Starting torque will be there. So starting torque is going to be inversely proportional. Okay. Now if I try to draw the characteristic, okay, it's going to be straight line, and after that it's going to be like this. So my torque speed characteristics or torque slip characteristics of induction motor will be like this, provided y-axis is torque developed and x-axis is rotor speed, or in opposite direction it is going to be the slip. Okay. Now pull out torque is the maximum torque. Now this is going to be the starting torque, TST. This is going to be the maximum torque. Okay. Now you will get clarity now. Clarity now. Just wait. Okay. So my characteristics are like this. Characteristics are like this. This is going to be slip equal to 0. This is going to be slip equal to 1. This is slip. This is rotor speed. That's fine. Okay. Here it is going to be straight line, and after that it is inversely proportional. And this is pull out torque, TEM. This is going to be the thing. Okay. Now let us think of kind of speed control, kind of parameter variations. Okay. Now see here, this is the starting torque equation, because you should get this clarity. Without this clarity, if you attempt the question, means you can ruin the paper. Okay. So see here, for example, rotor resistance is doubled. Okay. I repeat, for example, rotor resistance is doubled. Focus here, please. If rotor resistance is doubled 2 times, then how much will be the starting torque? 2 times. Okay. So when rotor resistance is doubled, for example, under that condition, starting torque will be doubled as per this equation. Okay. Now if you think of pull out torque, if rotor resistance is doubled, okay, so m by omega s into e2 square by 2x2. So rotor resistance magnitude or value is not there here in this particular equation. So pull out torque will not change. Okay. Now let us think of running torque. Because this is running conditions. No, in running conditions, for example, rotor resistance is doubled. Can I say running torque will be half? No. Okay. See here, that's what we have to focus. Okay. Now starting torque will be doubled. Yes, by this equation, because rotor resistance is there in the numerator. Starting torque is going to be doubled if you double rotor resistance. Okay. Now pull out torque is independent of rotor resistance. So pull out torque will not change if you double the rotor resistance. But if you double the rotor resistance here, okay, in the denominator, if you double the rotor resistance, my torque developed is going to be reduced by half is wrong. Because keep this particular point in mind, this is very crucial. Okay. Starting torque will be decided by the machine. Okay, and peak torque or maximum torque or pull out torque will be decided by the machine, but running torque will be decided by the load. Who are you to decide? Okay, for example, question has to be understood this way. Okay, for example, rotor resistance is doubled. In running conditions. Rotor resistance is doubled. When rotor resistance is doubled, in order to maintain the same load torque, I repeat, in order to maintain the same load torque, means how much will be the slip, they can ask. Okay, because this particular torque requirement of the load, okay, when developed torque by the motor equal to torque requirement of the load. Okay, if torque requirement of the load is 150 Newton meters, for example, in order to meet 150 Newton meters, your machine has to adjust itself. Okay, now for example, for given 150 Newton meters, torque requirement is constant by the load. When torque requirement is constant by the load, okay, if rotor resistance is doubled, slip also will be doubled in order to meet the same load torque requirement, should be the analysis. Okay, for example, on any motor, you are increasing the torque requirement. Okay, for example, 50 Newton meters, torque requirement of the motor, 50 Newton meters, you increase to 100, you increase to 150, you increase to 200, you increase to 300, 400. For example, maximum torque that may be delivered by that particular motor is 500 Newton meter, maximum pull-out torque. Okay, so if maximum that can be delivered by the motor is 500 Newton meters. Okay, for 50 Newton meters it work, for 100 Newton meters it work, for 350 Newton meters it work, for 450 Newton meters it work. Okay, for 500 Newton meters also it work because pull out torque. Okay, beyond 500, if load requirement is 600 Newton meters, 600 Newton meters, it cannot deliver, my rotor will be stopped. Okay, so means till your running torque requirement of the load is less than pull out torque, motor will rotate. If your torque requirement of the load is more than pull out torque, my rotor is going to be stopped. That's it. Getting my point, right? So running torque requirement will be decided by the load. Just keep this point in mind. Starting torque will vary, pull out torque may vary. For example, means I'm directly connecting this to speed control without actually using the name speed control. Okay, for example, E2 doubles. Okay, doubles may not be good idea. For example, E2 is reduced by 10%. Okay, E2 is reduced by 10%. When E2 is reduced by 10%, in the sense 90% of rated voltage when you supply, right? 90% of rated voltage when you supply, now starting torque will be reduced by 20% or 19%. Okay, because 0.9 square will give you 0.81. So 81% of previous torque will be there, or 19% starting torque reduction will be there. Okay, so starting torque will be decided by the machine. Okay, for example, at starting, okay, pull out torque is 500 Newton meters, and at starting, for example, it is 50 Newton meters. Okay, when you about to start the motor, it is able to deliver 50 Newton meters. At starting only, if your torque requirement is more than 50 Newton meters, it will not start. Okay, now means my starting torque developed by the motor is 50 Newton meters, and your torque requirement of the load is 10 Newton meters at starting, for example. At starting, then 50 Newton meters my motor developed, and 10 Newton meters like my load requirement at starting. So 50 minus 10, 40 Newton meters, extra 40 Newton meters will be delivered to accelerate the rotor. Okay, so always keep this point in mind. Starting torque will be decided by the motor. Pull out torque will be decided by the motor, but main running torque will not be decided by you. That will be decided by the load. Okay, anyway, coming to the point here, for example, E2 is reduced by 10%, then starting torque will be reduced by 19%, 19%, or starting torque maintained will be 81% of previous torque. Now, if you think of pull out torque, maximum torque, now if you think of reducing E2 by 10%, okay, meaning that you reduce it to 90% of the rated voltage. Under that conditions, pull out torque is going to change. Pull out torque is going to change. Okay, but you should never ever say that running torque is going to change. Okay, because for example, E2 is reduced. Okay, in running condition, this is the case, right? So E2 is reduced by 10%. E2 is reduced by 10%, meaning that this particular E2 square will be reduced by 19%. But torque requirement of the load is constant. For example, torque requirement of the load is constant. Under that condition, my slip has to change itself. Such that torque requirement of the load has to be furnished by the motor. Okay, so in this condition, only one point you have to keep it in mind. That is, running torque requirement will be decided by the load. Starting torque and pull out torque will be decided by your motor. Okay, so E2 is reduced. So starting torque is reduced, fine. Running torque reducer should not be said, but pull out torque is reduced is fine. Getting my point, right? So as of now, even in speed control also, braking also, we are going to do the same thing. Okay, that same thing is, see here, where is this particular? Yeah, just a minute. This particular diagram we are going to remember. Okay, E2, X2, R2 by S, and if you think of PG. Okay, air gap power, and M by omega S of PG is going to be the developed torque. Okay, now PG is nothing but, see here, M by omega S into I2 square R2 by S. Okay, in place of I2 you are going to place E2 by square under root. Okay, and after that you are going to divide these two, or this particular equation, into two splits. Okay, running condition, in running conditions slip is going to be less, and starting conditions, in starting conditions slip is going to be more. So high slip region, low slip region, depending upon the question asked. Okay, for example, if they ask some variation happened, rotor resistance is doubled, what will happen to starting torque? Yes, you have to answer it. Okay, so means as per that, running condition, starting condition we have to split, and depending upon the question, running condition, question in the sense, okay, running condition related equation we are supposed to consider. That's it. It's damn simple. Okay, so running condition, if they ask you this particular equation, we are going to consider. Now don't remember this equation, directly remember that particular small diagram only. From there automatically we will be able to draw in the exam. Okay, and remaining extension I will see in speed control. Now let us see here stable, unstable points we should know. Okay, now multiple times they have given questions. Now if I think of, this is torques. Okay, now for example, this is torque developed by the motor. Okay, and if I think of this as torque requirement of the load, means I need not say that always torque requirement of the load is constant, because for example, solid to solid friction torque requirement will be constant, kind of metal cutting tools and all, multiple times I said. And if you think of torque required for solid to liquid, torque requirement will be directly proportional to speed. And if you think of solid to air, kind of ceiling fan or fan load, under that conditions, torque requirement of the load will be directly proportional to speed square. Okay, so depending upon the load requirement, it will have its own characteristics. Okay, now what are the points which will be stable or not, we should be able to understand. Okay, so how to calculate that? Maybe if I think of this particular point and this particular point, right? Because at this particular point and at this particular point only, developed torque equal to load torque. Developed torque by the motor equal to torque requirement of the load, then only stable conditions will be there. Okay, so this particular point and this particular point, which is stable point? Don't analyze, because before going any further, increment in speed direction we should know. Okay, for example, if I give direction of speed is in this direction, then analysis will be different, or output or conclusion will be different. If I change direction of speed in this direction, everything is going to be changed. Okay, now remember one thing, which color? Maybe red only. Okay, so always keep this point in mind. In increasing direction of the speed, this is the stable operating point. No, that is the means interconnection point. No, after that, drive one line in the direction of increasing speed. Then if you think of here and here, okay, so black is torque developed by the motor and blue is torque requirement of the load. Okay, so after this junction point, what is happening? Torque requirement of the load is increasing, torque developed by the motor is going to be reduced or less. Okay, so then what will happen? Torque requirement of the load. Okay, so load is requiring more torque, but my motor is unable to give that much torque. So that is going to be decelerating torque. So my operating point will not travel towards this. So it is going to be stable. Okay, now if you think of here, let me draw one line immediately after this junction point. Okay, in the increase in direction of speed. Let me write like this. Okay, in increasing direction of speed, then what will happen immediately after this particular point? In direction of increase in speed, after this junction point, go through it, and this is going to be the torque and this blue line is going to be the torque. Okay, so this red line is more. What is this? This black line is more. What is this black line? Is going to be torque developed by the motor. Okay, torque developed by the motor is more after this junction point, and the torque requirement of the load magnitude is less, because this is torque, y-axis torque. Okay, meaning that after this junction point, what is happening? Torque developed by the motor, black, TM, torque developed by the motor is more, torque requirement of the load is less. Okay, so my push is more from the motor side, but my load is unable to absorb that much torque, so remaining torque is going to be accelerating torque. Motor is developing more and load requirement is less, so developed one will become accelerating torque. So the moment it's acceleration torque, Operating point will be unstable because it will accelerate, it cannot stop there. So B is going to be unstable. Always keep this particular point in mind. In the direction of increase in speed, you have to focus. Okay, if direction is reverse, direction of speed is reverse, under that condition B will become stable and A will become unstable. Always this particular point, keep it in mind. Okay, now let us think of very important equation. This has to be remembered because multiple times they will give questions from this area. Okay, now what is TD is going to be m by omega s into I2 square R2 by S. Okay, what is maximum torque? TEM or TDM? Maximum torque TM is going to be m by omega s into E2 square by 2x2. Okay, now slip at which maximum torque occurs? Okay, slip at which maximum torque occurs in the sense R2 by S, here x2, E2, x2, R2 by S, right? So R2 by S magnitude should be equal to x2 magnitude, okay, such that maximum power will be absorbed to the R2 by S maximum power condition. So at maximum torque condition, R2 by SMT equal to x2. Okay, or I can say that R2 equal to SMT into x2, just like that. Okay, now if I place in place of R2, for example here, okay, if I have R2 by S, what does it mean? R2 is nothing but SMT into x2. So SMT by S into x2, right? R2 value is going to be this and divided by S. Okay, so if you place these values here, you need not go for derivation. Actually, it's a very small derivation only, because TD divided by TEM, m by omega s will get cancelled, E2 square will get cancelled, some kind of stuff. Ultimately, TD divided by TEM is going to be 2 divided by SMT by S plus S by SMT will come. This has to be remembered. It's actually very easy to remember only, right? Now, how questions come from this area will be like this. Okay, kind of they may give. Okay, for one of the induction motor, starting torque is maybe 150% of full load torque. Okay, and maybe pull out torque, maximum torque is going to be 5 times or 500%. Okay, of TFL full load torque, and they can ask at slip at which maximum torque occurs. Okay, now what you are supposed to do, for example, in place of TD, if I write TST, okay, TST starting torque divided by pull out torque is going to be 2 divided by SMT, TM SMT by S is how much starting? 1 plus 1 by SMT is going to be TST by TEM. Okay, so this is going to be the case. Okay, now they have given TST 150% of TFL, TEM 500% of TFL. So if I divided by this, T starting by TEM is going to be 150% 1.5 by 5. Okay, TST of TFL, this TFL and TFL will be cancelled, 1.5 divided by 5 will come. Now you are going to use this equation saying like this is 1.5 by 5 equal to 2 divided by SMT by S. S is 1 plus 1 by SMT. So you can calculate SMT. Once you calculate SMT, how much will be the rotor speed at maximum torque condition is going to be NS into 1 minus S. They can ask this. Okay, slip at which maximum torque you can calculate from here. Okay, in this way questions will be asked. Okay, yeah, induction generator and speed control I will connect it in the next session. Okay.